So what we'll do is take a look at a site as an example, and I'm just going to type in something random here, AstroTurf, if I spell it properly. And the first site, AstroTurf Scotland, let's have a look at that one. And this site here is an example of an HTML CSS site. So it's coded using HTML CSS rather than a content management system like WordPress, which means, as you could see, that it loaded very quickly because HTML is very low on the intensiveness it's required to actually load in a browser. So it's excellent for search engine optimization. The search engines like HTML and CSS based websites a lot and position them higher just because they load quicker and they're easier for the search engine spiders to read. It's a fairly simple site, as you can see, and I would say one of the reasons it is #1 in Google for AstroTurf is because it is an HTML website. So one little trick here to get an idea of how sites are built is to right click on the site, and halfway down you can see here view page source. So if you click on that, what it then brings up is all of the coding that is behind the build of the site that you're looking at. So here, all of this information from the body, H2, wrapper, navigation, that's actually CSS information, content style sheet, and that tells the browser how to build the page. So it would have things like the body here, that's the actual content, and it will tell the web browser to make the font size here 74.74 size EM. You can use 0.74 pixels, for instance, for font size. Depends on how you code it. But that tells it how big to make the font. This will tell what to make the background color of the content body. There's the font family, using Arial as the first one. So this normally, the CSS, is normally in a separate document called a CSS style sheet. And this site would actually benefit from having a separate document for the CSS. This is an old way of building an HTML CSS website. And the reason why it's not as good is because if a browser comes in to read this website, and this is the key to search engine optimization, when it comes in to read this website, it goes to these documents. It's not really looking at what you see in the browser. It's actually reading this. It starts about there. It's reading all of this information, especially the meta tag, what we mentioned earlier, the description here. And the keyword tags it doesn't really look at anymore. That's outdated. Some search engines, they say, still use them, but I'm not so sure they do because it's too easy to cheat and just put lots of keywords that are relative to what you want to position for but might not be relevant to the content of the website. The other very important element that the search engine will look at is the H1 tag here, and I saw an H2 tag. Here's an H2 tag. And these H1 and H2s are a way of making, for instance, why artificial turf is right for you. It's a way of making it, here it is here, the words instead of small, bigger and bold or coloured, etc., and they stand out. So that's why the search engines give an H1 tag so much importance, because if you give the name of your page or the web page that you're looking at, the title is going to be relevant, very relevant to the actual content and subject matter of the page. So the H1s are very important from that aspect. So we'll have a look in pretty much order of importance, and I'll come back as well to the CSS, by the way. What a spider will do is it will come into a website and it will read from the top down, but it only has a certain amount of time. It doesn't stay on the site and read every single line. It has a certain amount of time that is allotted to read a page, and if you've got lots of content style sheet, as this web page has at the very top of your site, there's no information there that's going to be relevant to a search engine to tell it what the site is about until it gets to here, until it gets to the description tags. There is the title tag at the top, but we'll come to that in a second. Until it gets to the description, and then here, the content, which is the other most important part. So if it's having to read the CSS style sheet or content style sheet to begin with, and all of that code, it might miss out on some of this important stuff at the bottom here, which is the content, the description tag, and the H1 tags. However, what we'll look at first is one of the most important parts, and that is here, the title tag. Okay, now this one is Artificial Turf Scotland, and what the person's done there is put in the term artificial turf, which must be his in Scotland, which must be his most important keyword, and that's probably why it appeared number one here, artificial turf Scotland, in Google. And you can see here, this is the title tag. So what you put here and what Google reads here is what Google puts in here 99.9% of the time. It doesn't always, but virtually always it does. So the other thing about the title tag and where it will appear is at the top here. Let me show you that. I'll have to show you that afterwards actually. There it is. At the top of the search engine you can see Artificial Turf Scotland, Artificial Grass Supplies Edinburgh, Glasgow, at the top of your browser. So that's the title tag appearing there as well. And here in the actual tab that the page is opened on. So that's the title tag. That's the most important part. And then after that is the H1 tag. Now, the H1 tag should always, just the same as the title, have your keyword for that page at the very beginning of the title. So he's got the word why. A lot of these words like why, is, for, they're called stop words, which means that the search engines pretty much ignore them. So you can have a why or a to or something like that in there, as long as the next word is then your keyword. And then this guy's done well as well, this person, and they've put Artificial Turf Scotland. So once again, they've got the keyword in the title, the keyword Artificial Turf Scotland at the beginning of the paragraph, and then the other important place to have it would be at the very end of the content, the very last. So it should really be here. That would make good search engine optimization for this page. And then it should also be within the page as well, within the content as well. So I could do a count, but let's not bother. We could probably have a look on the main page to see it. But I can't see another artificial turf, artificial grass here. But there should be another reference to artificial grass or artificial turf Scotland in this content somewhere to make this very well search engine optimized, this page. Then after that, if we go to the main page itself, is making things in bold. Now they don't seem to have done that. These all seem to be links, but the next best thing you can do to ensure good search engine optimization is in the content, like here Artificial Turf Scotland, is to make the keyword in the content, like artificial grass, I would put that bold or underlined or in italics. And that is another area that Google looks for, another element that Google looks for in the other search engines to decide the relevancy of the page in relation to the subject matter. So after that, they've got a few links here, artificial grass. So that's another important element. It will look at a link and it will make that, it gives that a degree of importance as to what the subject of that page is about. So if you've got artificial grass, as this person has in the keyword in the link, then that's going to give some relevance to the where Google's going to position that page as well. And you can see here, there's a couple of links. Here's one here. This is a link to Lothian decking and fencing, and in the title, which is a tag that is related to the link itself, it's got artificial turf. So once again, they've got the keyword in that title tag there. Now this is an image title tag, not to be confused with the meta title tag. Once again, they've put "why not come and see" and then 3 dots. I would probably put something, a wording that had again the artificial turf keyword in there, which would have improved that. H2 tags as well. He's got an H2 tag here. Need a new fence. This is relating to the where is it here? Need a new fence and garden decking. So they've got a sister company, and this is that link I told you about. Why not come and see? The one that I just showed you, and that should really see. And you can see the. Let me just drag that down so you can see it. You can see. If I hover over it, the pop-up box artificial turf products appears, and once again this is what Google's looking at and will give relevancy in the search engines for. So that's a quick look at how to optimize a page, the on-page optimization. And if you design a site in HTML yourself, you can actually just put all of these keywords in exactly where you need them to be. Now the description tag, some people say that the search engines don't look at it and it's not important to search engines, and other people, and I do believe that putting a good keyword at the beginning of the description is important, and one at the end as well. I normally put one at the end. But there's a look at how to optimize, what you need to do, the key elements to optimize a page, looking at the actual HTML coding of that page to be able to see what it is that you need to do. In WordPress, you've got some plugins that you can add that allow you to edit that information as well. So you can edit the description and the title tag, and the image title tags and link title tags as well, quite effectively, to add the keywords that you need and want to show. So there it is in a nutshell, and there'll be another video that will look at this in more depth and explain step by step what you need to do.